And right now, right here on Brookland News Live, we will bring you the latest details on the war in Iran. Talks now stalled after what is believed to be new strikes by Israel on Lebanon. We will bring you the latest on that as gas prices continue to fall just a little bit. Plus, the California primary set to occur tomorrow night. We're going to bring the latest on that. And the two still trapped in that Lewis cave after a hunt for gold. That all coming up on this edition of Brookland News Live.
It's time for all the news you need and more. Brookland News Live starts right now.
And thank you for joining us. I'm Jackson Mitchell. It is June 1st. Welcome into what is another start to another busy news day. Thank you for joining us. Again, it's Monday, June 1st. 2:01 is the time now here in Brooklyn. 12:01 on the West Coast and 3:01 on the East. It's good to be with you. We got a lot to get to. You're taking a live look right now on the right side of your screen at the R. camera in Brooklyn. We're going to start you off today with your forecast. It is a hot and muggy day. All that moisture in the ground and is now rising in the air as temperatures rise into the 80s. Isolated thunderstorms expected to continue throughout tonight, a low of 69. By Tuesday and Wednesday, the rain finally expected to give us a little bit of a breather here. High of 83, low of 61 as we go into Tuesday. By Wednesday, high of 83, low of 64. So hot and muggy temperatures expected to continue. All that moisture that was dropped now rising from the ground. Not only that, going into the air, leaving it to just be simply put it, well, muggy and humid. As we take a look at this is the drought meter. It has not, a new one has not been released since we began to see all of this rain. This was released on Thursday of last week, so it still shows Crockett County and Brookland being in an extreme drought, an exceptional drought, excuse me here. So we are waiting for the next one to release. When it does, we will bring it to you and bring you the updated look at where things stand on the drought monitor. But that is a look right now, a look from Thursday. So it is hot outside. I'm inside in the air conditioning, of course. I might take you guys outside one of these days, one of the days this week. So you guys know that every once in a while you get a broadcast from outside. We had about 2 successful ones. The other 2 I think we've done have not been that great. We're going to try it out again, I believe, later this week. It might be on Friday. We're going to try that out on Friday. Maybe every Friday we'll just start taking... I want to do something where I take the viewer somewhere random, just in like Crockett County, just in like Northeast Arkansas. I just take you to a new city. We live stream from a new city. We'll see. We'll have to watch how it goes. And we might do like a Friday 30-minute version, because I did announce months ago that Fridays we're going to go back to 30 minutes. And then unfortunately, I just wasn't available to do shows every single day of the week. So I just decided if I'm going to do a show on Friday, I might as well do an hour and catch everybody up on all the headlines. So we might go back to that if this all comes true. We'll see. I'll talk about it in future shows. Okay, let's get you out right now, excuse me, there to the latest details on the war in Iran, because there is a lot that is coming out right now, and I'm having some issues with my touchpad here. Excuse me. There is a lot of new details. We want to bring you those. Right now on the war in Iran. President Trump over the weekend weighing in even more, saying even more in a new interview. Plus, we are now learning some new developing details. You are taking a look right now at a post from Centcom on X, in which it is too small, excuse me, for me to read. So I'm going to try to zoom it in here. It reads, quote, U.S. Central Command conducted self-defense strikes on Iranian radar and command and control sites for drones in Guruk, Iran, and Qasem Island this weekend. The measured and deliberate strikes occurred on Saturday and Sunday in response to aggressive Iranian actions that included the shoot down of a U.S. MQ-1 drone that was operating over international waters. U.S. fighter aircraft swiftly responded to by eliminating Iranian air defenses, a ground control station, to one-way attack drones that posed clear threats to ship transiting regional waters. They say no American service members were harmed. CENTCOM will continue to protect U.S. assets and interest in response to unwarranted Iranian aggression during the ongoing ceasefire. So, a confirmation from the U.S. that there is an ongoing ceasefire, despite we know that talks to, well, extend a ceasefire, talks to end this war in Iran, they have now stalled after the U.S. Israel launched strikes on Lebanon. I want to take a look at this. This is new reporting coming in from NBC News, which says Tehran suspends talks with U.S. over Israeli attacks in Lebanon. That is according to Iranian media reports. So it was not only those strikes that may have suspended these talks, because again, as I just read there, from CENTCOM, we're also learning that the U.S. and Iran have exchanged a series of strikes over the weekend, with American forces targeting those Iranian radar and drone sites after Iran shot down a U.S. drone. So Iran now responding to those secondary U.S. strikes that were in retaliation to what the U.S. did and back for them attacking that drone, responding by targeting a U.S. military base. Trump, in an interview on Fox News that aired over the weekend on My View with Laura Trump, continues to say, well, Iran wants to make a deal. Take a listen to it. Here we go.
A deal because we can open the strait immediately upon signing. The one guarantee that I have to have is that there will be no nuclear weapons. They've agreed to that. And it was very interesting. They originally said, we will not develop a nuclear weapon. I said, well, what happens if you buy a nuclear weapon? So now it says we will not develop or in any way purchase a military weapon. That's a big difference. So we're getting what we want slowly. Very tough negotiators. It takes a long time. I'm in no hurry. I'd like to say I'm in a hurry because, gasoline prices are going to come tumbling down. But if you're going to be in a hurry, you're not going to make a good deal. And slowly but surely, we're getting, I think, what we want. And if we don't get what we want, we're going to end it a different way.
So that's interesting because I think everyone has acknowledged that the United States has been in a defensive position against Iran. They've been aggressive to some extent, and we've been defensive. Is there a line that they would cross for you to go on the offensive again militarily?
Well, a deal that wasn't going to be good for us is the line, ultimately, because, I'm playing it out, and we're going to see, and that's what I do. I negotiate. They negotiate. They're very good negotiators. They're crafty. But in the end, we have all the cards because we've defeated them militarily. Look, they have no Navy. Every ship, they have 159 ships. Every one of them are at the bottom of the sea. Every single one. We take pictures of them. We have people going down taking pictures of hundreds of ships. Their Navy is totally gone, 100%. Their Air Force is totally gone, 100%. Their military, we've sort of left it alone because we think that their military is somewhat moderate. They have other people that aren't moderate. We've taken them out. We've taken different forms of leadership out. We've actually left their military alone. People would be surprised to hear that. Because mistakes have been made in wars where you wipe out everybody and then you have a country that's, for 40 years can never rebuild. You look at what happened with Iraq. We did so bad. That was such a foolish thing, what we did. Shouldn't have been there in the first place, by the way. And shouldn't have been in Iran. But Iran has the capability. If we didn't hit them with the B-2 bombers 9 months ago, they would have a nuclear weapon right now. And it would be a whole different story. Probably would have used it. You probably wouldn't have had you wouldn't have had Israel, but you probably wouldn't have had a Middle East. And then where do they go from there? And you get to see that when you see that when we went back, they had missiles aimed at Qatar, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain. They all got hit. And we were surprised.
So there you go. The president in that interview. The president also saying in the interview, well, there's no rush in the war, is what he said. This comes as Americans continue to see prices rising, especially at the pump. And I apologize about that dog bark there. Right now, prices at the pump, $4.32, the national average. $4.33 was yesterday's average. $3.92 is the average in Arkansas, and $3.78 is the average in Brookland. Jonesboro, excuse me, my apologies. Alrighty. So some scary moments if you were at an ICE facility over the weekend in Newark, New Jersey. We don't have any video to show you of it that we were able to get, but protesters clashed really hard there. Over 20 people were arrested according to multiple reports by ICE. The reason behind it all, well, the protesters, they believe there is, no food being served to the inmates and that there is an ongoing hunger strike. Protesters claim that. That's their allegations here. Meanwhile, ICE, Tom Holman, they've all said there that there's being food provided and there's nothing behind it. We also are getting reporting that ICE leader, border czar Tom Holman, visited the facility over the weekend. Privately, kind of entering at the back door type of thing. It wasn't a public visit, just to make sure that things were going right there. We don't know what his findings were in that visit. We just knew that he did visit. ICE officials have denied the hunger strike, saying inmates are being fed well. Here's Governor of New Jersey, who was actually, denied entrance to the room, to the ICE facility. Take a listen to her. This is, again, the Governor of New Jersey.
Here in New Jersey, we can and we must do both. We know what ICE has done in other states. We know about the hundreds of injuries caused. We know the fear they've caused in communities across the nation. And we know American citizens have been killed, including a mom who had just dropped her child off at school. I refuse to let that happen in New Jersey. I will not give ICE a pretext to expand operations at Delaney Hall or across our state. I will not put lives at risk. I'm grateful to the vast majority of protesters who have assembled peacefully and raised their voices about Delaney Hall's conditions. That's exactly where our focus needs to be right now, advocating for better conditions for those inside the facility. We can't let what's happening outside Delaney Hall take us away from that mission. Yesterday, New Jersey law enforcement established a peaceful protected protest zone in the area outside Delaney Hall. In the evening, the New Jersey State Police Public Safety Response Team acted to secure the area. We did not make this decision lightly. It was absolutely necessary to avoid escalation from ICE. Let me be clear. ICE engagement creates an incredibly dangerous situation. It makes the situation worse, and I refuse to back down in fighting the Trump administration and the threats they've made. We know that people from outside the state have been interfering in the protests and escalating them. 5 of the 6 people arrested last night by state police were from outside New Jersey. And some national extremist groups have become involved in the protests here today. To the people coming from out of state to create chaos and dangerous situations, you should not be here. You are not helping the people detained at Delaney Hall. You're not helping detainee families, and you're certainly not keeping New Jersey safe.
Yeah, so she says you're certainly not keeping New Jersey safe. Key takeaway from that, she says that the protests that are happening, the events that are happening outside of Delaney Hall, the ICE detention facility, do not need to take away from the main issue, why there is ongoing protest because of what is going on inside Delaney Hall. There's been no confirmation. Again, she was denied entry. Mikey Sherrill, the governor in New Jersey, was denied entry to Delaney Hall. A quick break. We'll be back with more. We're coming back with LA mayoral candidates making their final campaign push. We'll also talk about Trump's physical. He was at Walter Reed Medical Center, which is basically the hospital that high officials use, that the president uses. He was there, and for about 3 hours early last week. We're now getting the report back from that visit. That is coming up when we come back. You are watching Brookland News Live. And welcome back live here into Brooklyn News Live. The final moments are here in the race to become the next mayor of Los Angeles. The governor also up for election tomorrow in the California primaries. Take a look at Spencer Pratt. He identifies as an independent. He's a registered Republican and kind of the current front runner for the Republicans. I'm not going to lie here. And current incumbent Democratic Mayor Karen Bass. You'll also hear from another person in this race. She's also on the Democratic side of things as they all make their final remarks ahead of the election. Take a listen.
The city that need to be woken up to the 21st century. And I have been focused on that.
You know, I'm running because I have deep frustrations with the direction of the city right now.
You can message all day long on 311, complain into the void. You could actually be more effective on food apps rating than you can to complain about anything in the city.
3 candidates with 3 different takes on the same city.
Yeah, there are 3 candidates, 3 different takes there. That was a report there from the Fox station in Los Angeles. You are now looking at polling. This is a list of all of polling. This is just all of it. Here, and I'm going to try to zoom it in for you so we can kind of see specifically the candidates who's in lead here. Here's a zoomed in look at it now. Karen Bass with 26.40%. I'll tell you, the betting markets also say she is going to win. That is from Polymarket and Kalshi. Not that that means anything, but it is something you can remember and take note of. Spencer Pratt, 18.40%. Nitya Raman, excuse me, who was that second person you heard from in that video, 15.90%. Republicans believe they have a big chance with Spencer Pratt here, so it's going to be something to watch. Polls open tomorrow at 7 a.m. and close at 8 p.m. local time, so we'll be monitoring that race there. Alrighty, President Donald Trump, he's declared, well, he's in excellent health after his 3-hour visit to Walter Reed Medical Center. As Trump also says, he is, quote, fully fit to serve following a comprehensive exam at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center. That is according to White House physician Dr. Sean Barbella, excuse me. The 79-year-old president showed strong cardiac, pulmonary, and neurological health while also scoring a perfect 30 out of 30 on the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. Now, that exam included heart imaging, CT scans, cancer screening, lab tests, and consultations with 22 specialists. Wow, that's a lot there. The report shows Trump weighs 238 pounds at 6'3", an increase of 14 pounds from last year, giving him a BMI of 29.7, just below the clinical obesity threshold of 30. Doctors recommend continued weight loss, more physical activity, and a low dose of an aspirin regimen. His total cholesterol has improved significantly to 143, thanks to medications including that I cannot pronounce here. The report also noted minor bruising on his hand, which doctors attributed to frequent handshaking and aspirin use, along with slight lower leg swelling related to chronic venous insufficiency. These are 2 illnesses that the president has and 2 issues that the president has had that we have reported on earlier. That condition there, the White House says, has improved since last year. As he approaches his 80th birthday later this month, the medical report is likely to draw attention because of the growing focus on the age and health of America's political leaders. Dr. Barbabella wrote that Trump's demanding daily schedule of meetings, public events, and regular activity continues to, well, support his overall well-being, concluding that his cognitive and physical performance remain excellent. So President Trump there with that medical report that has since come out. Okay, I want to take you right now to a live look in Brooklyn, thanks to that R-dot camera that we have here, as we are learning that, well, you might see some National Guard vehicles, some Arkansas National Guard vehicles on the road and highways and interstates over the next few weeks as National Guard troops travel to Fort Chaffee in Barling for annual training exercises. The convoys made up of large tactical vehicles are expected to move more slowly than normal traffic. The Arkansas Department of Transportation is warning motorists to expect occasional delays and slowdowns, especially when passing the convoys. Officials say the military movement will continue through June 15th and are urging drivers to use caution when traveling near the vehicle. So there you go. When we come back, we've got more of the big stories making headlines, including of a presumptive Democratic nominee in a race to become the next senator in Maine. Now, a new report. It's not great about him. We'll talk about it and the defense he's now using. Plus, the rapidly growing coffee brand that was founded right here in Arkansas. And FEMA, it's understaffed after cuts last year by Doge. We're going to talk about it, what it now means ahead of hurricane season. You're watching Brookland News Live. We're back in a few moments. Well, welcome back. Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner now facing a new round of controversy after the Wall Street Journal, take a look at this reporting right here, says his wife previously alerted campaign officials about sexually explicit text messages he exchanged with other women, well, during their marriage. They're still married. According to the report, the disclosure was made to campaign aides back in 2025. This was all as staff conducted internal vetting ahead of his Senate bid. The allegations add to a growing list of issues that have Doge Planter's campaign, including controversial social media posts and past questions about a tattoo he later covered. Plattner's campaign has acknowledged the text exchanges, while his wife, Amy Gertner, said the couple worked through the matter in counseling and remains together despite the controversy. Plattner remains the presumptive Democratic nominee after the exit of Janet Mills and is expected to challenge current incumbent Susan Collins in one of the nation's most closely watched Senate races. His wife posted a video to the campaign page. Take a listen.
I wanted to make a statement today, and oh, sorry, I'm getting eaten by bugs. I find it really shameful that there's a group of media outlets and people who are willing to spread gossip instead of talking about real issues that Graham is running on. Our marriage counselor helps. My personal counselor helps. Graham's personal counselor helps. And we work on our mental health every day. No marriage is perfect, and I don't want a perfect marriage. I want my marriage, and I want to be married to Graham. Sorry, black flies. I knew the man that I married is wonderful and dynamic and probably a genius. I knew the man that I married had been through an immense amount of violent, active combat. And he's been in therapy for years. I admire the fuck out of him.
So take that as you will. Take a look right now. New CNN reporting says Arkansas-based 7 Brew is, well, quickly emerging as one of the nation's fastest growing coffee chains, with more than 700 locations now open across 38 states. That includes, well, one that's open here in Jonesboro and a second one that's soon to be open. CNN reports the company has seen explosive growth in recent years, with revenue surging to nearly $1.2 billion as it continues to open new stores at a rapid pace. Known for its drive-through only model, fast service, and, well, a highly customizable drink menu, 7 Brew has attracted a loyal customer base, that's for sure, and is increasingly competing with larger national brands such as Starbucks, Dunkin', and Dutch Bros. The company's growth is also being felt here in Northeast Arkansas. In Jonesboro, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, construction now underway on a second 7 Brew location. As demand for the brand continues to grow, the company, founded in Rogers back in 2017, now the chain transformed from just a single coffee stand into a nationwide brand in less than a decade. Industry analysts say it focuses on speed, customer service, and convenience. That's all helped fuel its success, making 7 Brew one of the most watched restaurant and beverage countries in the company, and that's for sure a quickly growing company. And take a look at this. Politico now reporting that the Federal Emergency Management Agency, you often hear it referred to as FEMA, well, it's understaffed. Remember back in, like, circa 2024, LOL, the cuts to lots of federal staff that included FEMA. Well, as they enter the 2026 hurricane season with those ongoing staffing shortages, it's all raising concerns about its ability to respond quickly and efficiently to major disasters. According to the report, the agency has been struggling with retention issues, high turnover, and delays in replenishing key response teams, even as weather forecasts indicate an above-average storm season for parts of the Atlantic and Gulf Coast. Officials and experts warn that the timing could create serious challenges if a major hurricane were to make landfall, especially if it were to make, well, severe land damage and structural damage. The FEMA leaders are pushing for emergency hiring and additional federal support, but say internal delays and budget constraints could limit how quickly that could all happen. The FEMA administrator spoke earlier today in Miami, Florida. We will air the entirety of his remarks. Take a listen.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here, Dr. Brennan, and glad to be back at the Hurricane Center. And I want to thank our partners from NOAA and all our other partners across the emergency management community. As we kick off hurricane season here, the one thing I want to get across is that FEMA is ready. FEMA is ready to support our state, tribal nations, territories, and local emergency managers that lead disaster response. Under President Trump and Secretary Mullen's leadership, FEMA is working to be not only leaner, faster, but also laser focus on our core mission, which is helping people before, during, and after disasters. FEMA's ready. We have over 20,000 personnel ready for this hurricane season. We have 18 of our national and regional incident management teams that are able to deploy to disasters. We have 28 of our urban search and rescue teams that are partnerships with local governments across the country ready to support. We have our disaster and emergency communication teams, 6 of those ready to respond this year. So we stand ready. But readiness is far more than what we have ready to go at the federal level. It's really all the preparedness that starts year-round. And over the last year and a half, since January 2025, we've trained over 1 million state, local, tribal, territorial emergency managers, local leaders, and others through courses that we provide through FEMA. In addition to that, our FEMA logistics teams are out right now working with states and local governments to understand their capabilities, but more importantly, understand where the gaps are so we ensure that we're ready to support those. And in addition to what we're doing to get ready, we have a lot of ongoing disaster recovery happening right now across the United States from the last year of hurricanes. Over the last year, we provided over $830 million of assistance to individuals from the last years of events. And we provide over $11.4 billion and over 13,000 grants to cover restoration of damaged infrastructure. It's also about partnerships, and the partnerships you see here today are critical to the success of emergency management. Those partnerships with states, tribal nations, local governments that are in the lead for disasters. FEMA stands ready to support those entities with federal resources and to coordinate the federal government's support to states and local emergency managers. Our partnership here today with NOAA and emergency managers helps ensure the public gets accurate information when needed to make the best decisions in order to protect the public. The 2026 hurricane season overlaps with a number of other major events to include FIFA World Cup and Americans 250 celebration. We are making sure that we not only prepare for hurricane season, but cover those events. So we established a task force to focus on those events this year that will not draw away from the resources we have ready to respond to hurricane season. In addition to that, we provide almost $900 million to states and local governments to prepare for those special events this year. Bottom line, states and communities lead. FEMA and our federal partners are ready to support. One of the key members, and Dr. Brennan talked about it, is Americans all over the country. And we need to make sure that even with all the planning and coordination we're doing, that every American has a critical role to play in disasters. The time to prepare is now, and that time has to happen before a storm is on the way. So make sure that you have a plan, make sure that you build a kit, stay informed, sign up for alerts, pay attention to trusted sources, whether it be the National Hurricane Center or your local officials. And the other key thing is make sure that you have insurance. Whether that be insurance or flood insurance is critical. It takes about 30 days for flood insurance to become active policy. In disasters, it's shown us that insurance pays far more than what we have paid for disasters. If you look back at studies over the last 5 years, insurance pays almost about $80,000 on your losses to your home, whereas FEMA pays on average about $4,500. So to recover whole, insurance is critical to that. In closing, I just want to underline a couple things, that FEMA will continue to work closely with our partners at NOAA, with governors, tribal leaders, local officials, and emergency managers across the nation. President Trump has nominated Cam Hamilton for the FEMA administrator, and we have been connected at the hip as he goes through the Senate confirmation process. He's ready to, and once he goes through that, he'll be ready to assume, if confirmed, the role of the FEMA administrator. And so we work very closely together to make sure that that happens seamlessly as we go into this hurricane season. Just want to say he's a great American and will be a great partner to our communities and our states and local governments, and a great leader in emergency management. We're committed in FEMA to support communities before, during, and after disasters, strengthen our partnerships, and help individuals, families get better prepared. I appreciate your continued coordination of these partnerships. And now
Alrighty, their acting FEMA administrator speaking there. Still to come right here on Brookland News Live, we will talk as rescue teams continue their efforts to locate the final 2 individuals still believed to be trapped inside a remote cave system in Laos. Plus, a new report on the Biden administration, and their handling of funds. We will talk about that and the Ebola outbreak ramping up in the Dominican Republic of Congo. Tyler Robinson, the accused assassin of Charlie Kirk, in court today. The major ruling the judge made there. And former Vice President Mike Pence weighing in on what is an anti-weaponization fund, plus the new reporting on the future of that so said to be anti-weaponization fund. That is coming up right here on Brookland News Live. Stick with us. Rescue teams in Laos are continuing their efforts to locate the final 2 individuals still believed to be trapped inside a remote cave system after an underground exploration mission to find gold. Well, it went wrong. Officials say crews have been working around the clock using diving teams, rope systems, and specialized cave rescue equipment to navigate flooded and narrow passages, with conditions remaining extremely dangerous and visibility near zero in some areas of the cave. Authorities say several other members of the group were earlier brought out safely, including some this weekend, but difficult terrain and rising water levels have slowed the final phase of the operation. International rescue specialists have also been brought in to assist as officials warn that time is critical due to the limited air supply and continued risk of flooding deep within the cave network. So we are wishing all of those hikers to come home, all of those people that were within that cave on that search to come home as well. We do have some new reporting to bring you from, well, a former administration, the Biden administration. The House Judiciary Committee releasing today, saying that it uncovered new alleged links between Biden administration funding and left-wing groups that opposed Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. A new GOP-led committee memo claims federal money from agencies including USAID, and the State Department may have flown through nonprofit networks that later supported anti-Netanyahu protests in Israel and anti-Israeli activism in the United States. Committee Chairman Jim Jordan said the findings, raise new questions about whether American taxpayer dollars were used in ways not intended by Congress. The committee alleges that several U.S.-based foundations and nonprofits provided more than $5 million to groups involved in protest activity and claims some organizations had connections to entities accused of ties to terrorist groups. The investigation remains ongoing and the allegations have not been proven in court. Democrats and some of the organizers named in earlier phases of this investigation have denied wrongdoing and argued their work complies with U.S. and Israeli law. So a story to follow there. I will say I don't believe they said they were going to take any action on this, considering that the Biden administration is out and the investigation would be kind of the final bit of action taken in all of this. Okay, something that the White House is also watching right now, an Ebola outbreak ramping up in the Dominican Republic, of the Congo, are all as they are now reporting a renewed surge in Ebola cases, raising concerns that the outbreak could spread further across several regions. So this is something to watch right here. Health response teams new infections have been confirmed in multiple communities, prompting emergency contact tracing, isolation protocols, and rapid deployment of medical units to contain the virus. The difference in kind of how the United States would handle this and how the DRC is handling this is people in the DRC, they don't like medical care. They are afraid of it. They don't think they're doing the right thing. They don't think that these people that are there to help them from the World Health Organization are in good faith. The World Health Organization and local authorities are working together to scale up vaccination efforts, boost surveillance, and prevent cross-border spread. Officials say challenges including limited health care access, delayed reporting in rural areas, and population movement are making containment more difficult, but they stress that containment measures are being intensified. So that is all something to watch right here. Okay, when we come back, we've got Tyler Robinson. He's the accused assassin of Charlie Kirk. He appeared in court, a virtual hearing today, a new ruling on cameras in the courtroom, and a ruling to delay the trial, a motion to delay the trial. We're not getting a ruling on that. We're going to bring you that coming up here in just a few moments. And plus, FedEx Freight now making its stock debut. When we come back, you're watching Brookland News Live. Welcome back into Brooklyn News Live. We have just gotten in some breaking news. This is coming into a second ago here. We are learning some news here from the White House. According to multiple reports, the Trump administration is now planning to drop what they deemed as an anti-weaponization fund of over nearly $2 billion, essentially. This money came from private President Trump, essentially, sued the IRS for the leak of his tax documents. Now that he's president, essentially his DOJ decided to, in this lawsuit, decided to settle it for about $2 billion. And we are now learning, I'm reading reporting coming in from Axios where they say the Trump administration is now planning to drop this weaponization fund. The money that was going to be from this was going to be essentially for people to apply to get it back if they were they thought they were wronged by former DOJs. And the question had been along this whole time, is it legal? And do people that feel that they are maybe wronged by the current Trump administration Department of Justice, are they able to apply for this as well? We are also now able to confirm that Speaker of the House Mike Johnson was at the White House today for a meeting about this anti-weaponization fund. What is key about that is that many members of Congress, including Republican senators and Republican representatives, had expressed skepticism about this nearly $2 billion anti-weaponization fund. So now again, some breaking news in multiple reports now saying that the Trump administration is now planning to drop this anti-weaponization fund. Axios says one of their sources told them, quote, "It is dead. It's dead for now." That is a direct quote. Excuse me. Again, there had been a lot of skepticism expressed by Republicans on this fund. We were actually going to bring you a segment about this because former Vice President Mike Pence spoke on Meet the Press over the weekend about this anti-weaponization fund. I want to play that for you as we talk more about this. Take a listen. This is Mike Pence over the weekend on Meet the Press.
About the president's $1.8 billion fund, the so-called anti-weaponization fund, to pay people who say they were unfairly investigated or prosecuted by the government. It's tied up in the courts right now. But, Mr. Vice President, should the government in any instance compensate people who attacked law enforcement officers on January 6th?
Well, look, I think that the weaponization fund is it's a bad idea from the start, and I would encourage the administration just to drop it. The Justice Department has the ability to settle cases like they did with that pro-life family who was put upon during the Biden administration, got us a well-deserved seven-figure settlement this week. But let's get rid of this fund. I mean, it's deeply offensive to me that you could have a fund that could even possibly compensate people who assaulted police officers or vandalized the Capitol on January 6th. And I think that's broadly held by most Republicans and most Americans.
So Mike Pence, they're talking about this anti-weaponization fund. Again, I'm looking deeply more into this, and I am finding more information about this because I was looking at the Department of Justice, who released a press release back in middle of May, I believe this was May 18th, where they released that the Justice Department will be announcing an anti-weaponization fund inside this. It says the U.S. Department of Justice today announced that as part of the settlement agreement in President Donald J. Trump versus Internal Revenue Service, or the IRS, the Attorney General established the Anti-Weaponization Fund to provide a systematic process to hear and redress claims of others who suffered weaponization and lawfare. The acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, in this press release says, quote, "The machinery of government should never be weaponized against any American, and it is this department's intention to make right the wrongs that were previously done while ensuring this never happens again. So a big story coming out today that that the Trump administration is now planning to drop this nearly $2 billion anti-weaponization fund that was going to be put towards people that feel that they were wronged by the Department of Justice, former Department of Justice. So essentially under the Biden administration, a lot of people had expressed skepticism, including Mike Pence, who you hear there, asking the question, does this also mean it is for people who were involved in the riot at the Capitol back in January of 2021? The vice president there saying he believes that it is, quote, deeply offensive and should be dropped entirely. And again, according to these reports, it will now be dropped entirely. So Mike Pence getting his way on this one, at least here. So again, the reports from multiple different news agencies saying that this anti-weaponization fund that was going to be used to fund those, to essentially give money to those that feel that they were wronged by former DOJs, now going to be dropped. That is the breaking news right now. We will follow it here, and if we get any more updates as we wrap up our hour, we will bring that to you. Okay, the accused Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson appearing in court today. That was this other breaking story that we were following for you earlier today in a virtual hearing. Here you go. This is out of Provo, Utah from earlier today. As a Utah judge has now ruled that cameras will be allowed in court proceedings for the high-profile case against Tyler Robinson, who was accused in the killing of the conservative activist Charlie Kirk. Now, what this decision means, that select courtroom moments, including the upcoming preliminary hearing, can be recorded and broadcast by media outlets. This is a very good thing for the media outlets here, giving the public a rare visual access to a case that has drawn significant national attention. Now, the defense here, they have opposed this camera access, arguing it could prejudice potential jurors and create, well, an unfair trial environment, but the court ruled that transparency outweighs those concerns under current rules for high-interest cases. Now, in another key ruling today, the judge here also denying a defense motion to delay the proceedings, keeping the case on its current schedule. Now, the defense had sought more time to review discovery material and prepare legal strategy, claiming the complexity and scale of evidence required additional preparation. However, today the court found that the request did not meet the standard for a postponement, and proceedings will continue as planned. Prosecutors, who are expected to seek the death penalty if Robinson is convicted, argued that any delay would be inappropriate given the seriousness of the charges and the strong public interest in a timely case resolution. So that is going to be for sure something to watch here. Major rulings coming today in preliminary hearings in that case. The trial set for early, I should say, right as the end of the summer. I believe it's set for September or October at some point. We will be watching that and bring you updates when that comes to fruition. So again, that was the court hearing earlier today in Provo, Utah. Alrighty. We're having some issues with our graphics, I believe, so please excuse me. Give me one moment. We're going to try to get it back working for you. But again, a story to watch out of Provo, Utah. The accused Charlie Kirk assassin Tyler Robinson appearing in court today with those two rulings that cameras will be allowed. Not only cameras, but we are learning that the motion to delay has been denied. So we're having some issues with our graphics here. That's besides the point. We'll move on to our next story here, because we are also learning today that FedEx Freight has officially made its debut on the stock market. That's a good thing for those, a major step, I should say, in the FedEx efforts to step away from its parent company. Maybe we can get our graphics now. So I'm trying to multitask here. I'm trying to get our graphics to work. Okay, maybe not. That's okay. FedEx Freight officially making its debut on the stock market. This marks a major step in FedEx's efforts to streamline its business operations and attract new investor interest. Now, the spinoff of the freight division was structured to allow the unit to operate more independently, giving it greater flexibility to compete in the truckload and less than truckload shipping markets. Early trading activity showed strong attention from investors as analysts weighed the impact on the move on the broader logistics sector here. So company officials, they say this new listing will help FedEx Freight focus on expanding its network, improving delivery times, and investing in technology while maintaining competitive pricing in a highly competitive industry there. So FedEx Freight today separating from FedEx and making its market debut. So some news there if you follow the broader logistics sector there. Alrighty, that's going to wrap us up for this busy start of the week. Remember, you can join us each and every weekday at 2 p.m. Reminder here, we'll let you know something. Tomorrow, we will be here at 1 p.m. instead of 2, but for the rest of the week, we'll be here at 2. So keep that in mind. 1 p.m. instead of 2 tomorrow, but for the rest of the week, we'll be here at 2. Thank you for joining us on a start to a busy news week. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 1 p.m.